National Peace Committee has met with INEC over the forthcoming elections and has raised issues on the security and logistic preparations as INEC made a presentation to the committee. And there appears to be more tweets to the Chinese firm lawsuit against Nigeria over an investment deal which has now gone sour, and the compensation claims and a planned seizure of Nigeria's assets. Hello everyone, welcome. This is the Friday edition of Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Abuja. Let's first and foremost let you know what happened today in respect of the meeting between the National Peace Committee, which is promising to deepen partnership with the Nigerian police to scale up the level of prosecution of election law offenders in the country. The co-chairman of the committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, who is a former head of state, stated is at a meeting in Abuja where the committee presented a report on the 2023 general elections. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, briefed the committee on its preparations for the elections in Edo and Ondo and promised to deploy the INEC result viewing portal in the election. Take a listen first to the former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar.
So far, I think some of those who were arrested during the last elections have been prosecuted, and I think I can't give you the number so far that have been prosecuted. But the rate of prosecution in the courts has not really been optimal. So we are going to take that up with the security agencies to ensure that offenders or malpractice offenders for the elections are really brought to book so that it can serve as a deterrent to other people who are planning to do that.
And that's the former military head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar. Of course, the INEC chairman did a presentation and has been making promises about the Ondo and Edo governorship elections and how ready INEC is towards that those two off-cycle elections. Take a listen to the INEC chairman.
The process for the off-cycle elections, like all elections, is the same. The beavers will be deployed for accreditation of voters. It is now mandatory that all voters must be accredited electronically. And secondly, the results will be uploaded to the IRF portal from the polling units as soon as the processes are concluded.
All right, the INEC chairman then. Tonight on the program, we'll be getting a perspective of an international lawyer, a solicitor who is involved in foreign business and how to broker businesses. And he's a former presidential candidate who will be speaking to us and giving perspective for Nigeria to avoid the kind of embarrassment the Chinese firm is going to put us through, similar to what we've seen with the P&ID matter. He's going to be speaking to us. Of course, we have the Deputy Governor of Edo State here in our studio to also speak on Edo politics. And the Edo government has said Philip Shaibu is engaged in impersonation. Well, he's here and he's going to be explaining all of that to us tonight. So stick around with me. Let's check out some of the political roundup stories.
Today in Benin City, the Edo State capital, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has met with political party leaders, traditional rulers, and other stakeholders ahead of the September governorship election. According to INEC, the purpose of the meeting is to interact with the various stakeholders to give them an update on the state of preparedness of the electoral body as the September 21 governorship election beckons. A civil society group, the Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness, and the coalition of INEC accredited observer organizations are asking the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and security agencies to maintain absolute neutrality in order to ensure a transparent, free, fair, and credible election in the state. Addressing a joint news conference in Abuja, the Director General of the Center, Mr. Gabriel Mwambu, says it is crucial for INEC to issue permanent voter cards to all eligible voters in the state ahead of the election, in order not to disenfranchise anyone. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has announced Thursday 22nd of August to Monday 26th of August for the collection of permanent voter cards in Edo State. In a statement issued by Head of Voter Education, Mr. Timidi Wariowe, states that the collection of the PVCs will last for 5 days and will take place in the headquarters of the various wards. The Commission implores all who have not collected their PVCs to seize the opportunity to obtain their voter cards. The caretaker committee chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State, Mr. Tony Okocha, is raising an alarm over what he alleges is a well-orchestrated plot to hijack the party in the state by some persons, with a view to subordinating it to the state government as part of a broader design to frustrate the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027. At a news conference in Abuja, Mr. Okocha claims that Emeka Bekee and Ihanyi Chukwudike had long been suspended from the state working committee based on allegations of engaging in anti-party activities. He explains that the APC was never part of the suit filed by Mr. Bekee and that only its national chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, was listed, saying it is wrong for the trial judge to have made orders on parties who were never joined in the suit.
The Supreme Court has said over time that intra-party matter is beyond the ambits of the law to interfere. Because it is not the court that will decide for a political party who their chairman is. Is it not true? So what do you think that this judge has done, even when he knows?
So let's get to it, everyone. There are now reports and strong indication that Zhongshan Fusheng Industrial Investment Company Limited, the Chinese firm that got a court injunction to ground 3 presidential jets belonging to the federal government of Nigeria and Europe, has initiated plans to seize other Nigerian assets in the United Kingdom and the US and about 6 other countries globally. The company is being reported to have instituted legal proceedings in about 8 jurisdictions globally regarding this dispute between the Ogun State government and that firm. Meanwhile, the federal government says legal and diplomatic efforts are ongoing to recover some seized presidential jet. Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, today in a statement through his spokesperson, Kamarudin Ogundele, the AGF described as inappropriate court orders against 3 presidential aircraft undergoing routine maintenance in France. He said that the federal government became aware of the interim attachment of the aircraft on Wednesday, the 14th of August, 2024. Yesterday, we were getting reactions from the presidency, from Ogun State government. The dimension to these is huge. The Ogun State government is saying, look, this happened about 12 years ago between the past government and the Chinese firm. And that the Chinese firm had only put up a perimeter fencing around the proposed site of the property. Now, Nigeria is at the risk of losing assets. And of course, the federal government is now in the mix of all things and somewhat a security in the whole business deal that has gone south. How do we get out of this quagmire? The Ogun State government has been making the explanation, but it says, look, it's looking into a proper negotiation and a matter for them to be able to speak with the Chinese firm to resolve this amicably. And of course, you know, in all of this, we all do understand that there was an arbitration ab initio, which didn't go well because the position at the end of the arbitration did not go down well with Ogun State government. Now, Nigeria, as a federation, is in the mix of things and is about to lose assets that could embarrass the nation. Let's get some perspective to someone who is in the know. Is very used to international dimension of this kind of legal tussle. Is Adewale Adebayo, Prince Adewale Adebayo, the SDP presidential candidate in the 2023 election. Aside all of these politics, his main business is representing interest in this kind of dispute, and of course, a solicitor who is involved in international and global business engagement. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebayo, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Good to see you. God bless Nigeria.
Now, my first question would be, I don't know, I can't hear Mr. Adebayo. If you can, my producer can get me the audio.
Okay.
My first question would be, where do you think things went wrong? Nigerians may not be belabored by the whole gamut of story in the whole issue that went wrong. But if you can summarize where you think things may have gone wrong. Usually we see state government engaging firms internationally to do investments in Nigeria. But from where you are sitting, where did you think things went wrong?
Well, things actually went wrong when the company and the state government, that were supposed to be partners, became opponents and they started litigating. You recall that normally the country is looking for investment, and they look for investment locally, look for investment internationally. I believe even on your channel, you will see that many times governors come to you to do show and tell, where you will see some foreigners enter the government office and they will say, oh, we are our partners, we are trying to do this business or the other. And sometimes these businesses or projects outlast the tenure of the incumbent governor. And the successor might not understand the seriousness of the understanding. I might just come and say, well, we terminate the contract or we don't want you here anymore. But internationally, when you engage investors and you sign these contracts, you're not only signing the commercial contract, you're also signing treaties in some situations where if there is a dispute between the government and the investor may decide to sue on their own in any regular court. They can go into arbitration. They can also go into what we call state treaty arbitration, whereby if you come from Nigeria and you're doing business in China, there is an agreement internationally to which China is a signatory and Nigeria is a signatory, where they say if any of our citizens is doing business in the other country, then they can do arbitration using the mechanism of the treaty. Now, I don't want to sound too technical, but the issue we need to understand is that one, it is not originally a federal government obligation. It is an obligation of Ogun State. However, under public international law, subdivisions, subsidiaries, subnationals are not recognized internationally. So if a state out of the 36 states in Nigeria, if any of them has an international obligation, Nigeria will be the one to hold to account. So that is why the federal government is implicated in the matter. And we also need to know that it was not a loan. It's not as if Nigeria took a loan and used any of these national assets as collateral. No, it was a business that was supposed to be done between Ogun State government and the Chinese private firm. And the Chinese private firm has gone to arbitration to allege that Ogun State breached the contract by stopping them from making progress, and they have suffered losses. And both parties went to arbitration. So the second stage where it went wrong is that when you go for arbitration and the arbitration award is against you, you should try, for the sake of your reputation, to try to pay. But on many occasions, or some occasions, the state entity involved may be advised by lawyers that the arbitrators made a mistake, that the arbitrators misconducted themselves, that they went outside their jurisdiction. So some of these things may go into litigation. And sometimes it's just lack of political will to deal with the issue, and they are dealing with it cavalierly or casually. But what I also say, the next stage is that the attachment, interim attachment of the presidential jet does not mean that the jets have been lost. Because under international law, assets of the federal government used by the government for diplomacy and monies kept in our central bank, used for central banking activities, are immune. No court at any time can attach them. And I want us to understand that clearly. So, but when you go to court for an interim order, typically only one side is heard. So there will be the court has not heard from Nigeria's side. So the Chinese company going to the court to say, these are aircraft, like any other aircraft. They are for maintenance in France. And any person, whether you're a government or not, can bring your aircraft for maintenance to seize the aircraft. So the court might be inclined to just put a temporary seizure and serve notice on Nigeria to come and appear. I believe that as the law stands, once Nigeria appears there and can demonstrate, especially with the assistance of the foreign ministry of the French government, that these are diplomatic assets, the court will lift the decision.
All right.
It does not mean that you should not settle with your counterparty. It doesn't mean that you should not pay your judgment debt when you have gotten finality in litigation. But typically, you do not attach monies or assets belonging to central banks, and you do not attach assets or money or property belonging to sovereign. And Nigeria is a sovereign, headed by a president who is using that plane for diplomacy.
So let's get it clear. For a lot of people who are watching tonight and be thinking that arbitration, yes, of course, where two parties agree that let somebody come in between us and settle this dispute for us without having to go to court, but whatever decision that is made in that process is binding on both parties. But it's also good to establish the fact that this deal came up in 2007. And by 2007, that was when the deal came out first. 2015, it went into arbitration. The arbitration was concluded in 2016. $60 million was slammed on the federal government, which was a party to it. There are those who will say, Prince Adebayo, that no matter what the case may be, although the Ogun State government is saying, look, this deal was supposed to develop a free trade zone in Ogun State, but they only built a perimeter fence. Now they are talking about $60 million as of 2016 when the arbitration was concluded, and they thought it was unfair. Anybody who is familiar with this kind of international dealings will say, no matter what, as a tortuous legal implication, it means that something will have to part. Those who are saying that we have been injured by the manner in which you related with us, there are those who will say Nigeria will still lose at the end of the day or pay something. At the end of the day, what do you think is the worst case scenario for Nigeria in this particular case?
Well, the worst case scenario is that Nigeria will pay the arbitration award or a portion of it. As lawyers, it's very difficult to second guess when you are not the one handling the matter, because you will assume that the lawyers to the federal government, now that they became an arbitration internationally, and the lawyers to the Ogun State government will know enough law to advise them. But from my experience, because the position where the Chinese company is now, I've been in that position against the Attorney General of Nigeria on many occasions. I've threatened to seize the asset before. In fact, in the past, I've seized the asset of this same government before in London. So, and I see the experience. What I can say generally, if I were to advise the government as a citizen, is that, one, try to be careful regarding your commercial reputation, because you are running a neoliberal government, and most of your macroeconomic policies is dependent on attracting foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. And in that kind of situation, you don't want to be seen as a tough cookie, difficult people to do business with. But Nigeria has very good lawyers. Nigeria is highly litigious. And it is not today. For many years, there's a case where Lord Denny of England passed some negative comments about Nigeria and our attitude towards meeting our obligation. So what I'm saying generally is that Nigeria is known to be a tough customer. When they owe you, they don't want to pay. They want to argue to the end. On many occasions, they get it right. Like in the case of P&ID, it will have been a disservice to the country to pay all that humongous amount of money without scrutiny. So that scrutiny saved the country massive income, saved the country a lot of our wealth, and saved millions of people from going to poverty or having to pay that about $13 billion, which we do not have. But occasionally, when you also challenge other ones, you get into tough situation. But it's an embarrassment that is temporary. I believe that in the next proceeding following this aircraft to be released. That doesn't mean that releasing the aircraft will extinguish the obligation to pay any judgment debt. No, it means that at least Nigeria can breathe easy, and then they can now focus on how to negotiate. Additional point I will make is that the Attorney General should be careful in advising the state attorneys general that if you are entering any obligation with international people, sometimes even with Nigerians, if you agree to arbitration, you should be careful to realize the implication. Because I think that the Attorney General of Nigeria should have advised Ogun State one way or the other on how to resolve this matter, because Ogun State, or your state, Kano State, Sokoto, whatever, all these 36 states, none of them is known in the international arena. They just know that Nigeria has done this, even though the federal government may not be involved in it. So we want to have a system whereby we are able to convince the international community that we are serious people. One governor doesn't come and sign, and then another governor comes, whether because of politics or other problems not associated with the investor, will cancel the investment. It happens. Many Nigerians have lost assets, and many international people have lost assets. I myself have been a victim of it on many occasions. We bring investors to the country, they are doing well, they are being applauded. Then the next government comes, either due to inattention or politics or just malice or mischief, then they throw the people out, and then trouble starts. Remember, Global State. Yeah. We were brought by Obasanjo, and Yar'Adua came and threw them out, and we had to pay a lot of money when President Buhari was there. That is the lesson to learn. And if you have one more minute, I will tell you that the most important lesson to learn is to make our courts to be fair and respected, so that investors, partners can agree to do their litigation in Nigeria. The tendency is that people just believe that the Nigeria court system is too slow, and the system is not going to give you justice, and everybody insists on having international arbitration clauses in the agreement. That is making us lose money, lose reputation, and lose an opportunity to resolve issues domestically. All right. If you look at the statement released by the Ogun State government, you will see the kind of frustration that parties face in a dispute like this when it comes to a legal conundrum of this nature. And you will see that they allege that the Chinese company is being evasive. And now, the other aspect to it is the multi-jurisdiction that has come into play. Now, the evasiveness of this, as alleged by the Ogun State government on one hand, and the fact that Nigeria may not be fighting this battle in multiple jurisdictions because they have threatened that there is a possibility that they will go after Nigeria's assets in different countries. We saw what happened in France. They said they will go to places like the UK and some other clients, about 8 of them. How difficult do you think this could pose, legally speaking, for Ogun State on one hand and federal government that might be receiving the pain of the beating in this dispute? For Ogun State, Nigeria is the father, Nigeria is the guarantor. So internationally, nobody knows Ogun State. I don't think has any asset internationally that can be exposed. So Ogun State is maximum pain for Ogun State is the Attorney General may insist that I'm going to deduct the money from your allocation that is at the FAC. That's it. But these are pressure tactics. So it doesn't mean that going to UK, going to America, go everywhere is going to get you the assets, because the laws are very clear. It's very difficult to attach assets of a sovereign in the UK. Even in the US, the judgment they got at the Court of Appeal, I've got similar judgment many times in the past, just recognizes the fact that Nigeria agreed not to assert immunity when you are enforcing. But particular assets do not lose their immune status just because of that. But they are putting pressure. They are trying to embarrass Nigeria everywhere. Their aim is not necessarily that they will keep these assets. It's that Nigeria will be in the negative news all the time. So you are raising bonds, you are talking to investors, you are going everywhere. Everybody will be asking you about your debt. And if you are being rated globally, some of the rating agencies will consider it. if these are special taxes, Nigeria is a very difficult country to recover from. I've been in litigation before where we spent $60 million in litigation just to recover from Nigeria, and it took years. So Nigeria is very tough. I've tried to recover against other countries. Once you make a little effort here and there, they will call you, they will negotiate, but Nigeria is a very tough customer internationally. And if maybe the lawyers in the Ministry of Justice will be happy to say, well, people will think twice before they sue Nigeria. But if you want to do business, you want to be in Singapore, you want to be like Switzerland, you want to be like France, you want to be like other countries, you want to be like Dubai, or UAE, where people carry business and go to, then you don't want to be seen just as a guy who is tough, who will argue and litigate and be evasive to the end. As the governor said, the governor is not a lawyer and is not speaking in the capacity of a lawyer. I think what he should be doing is to be speaking that Ogun State is good for business, to talk about other businesses in Ogun State that have been done well, that not into litigation, not to be arguing legalistic. That's for a lawyer to go and tell the court in Paris. But you must continue to assure other investors, because you're not dealing only with this investor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a Nigerian. I want to be a Nigerian president. I'm loyal to the country. I'm patriotic. But as a professional, if an international business asks me where they should take their business to, and I'm advising them on Nigeria, I'm bound by professional ethics to advise them that Nigeria is a very difficult country and that you may not pay. Or if you get arbitration against them, they may not pay you. They may make trouble with you. That's part of what you need to advise them. And you don't want that to be part of your profile.
All right.
I am not saying that you should not defend the country, that you should make sure that you don't lose your reputation. But overall, there's no need to panic. This is what happens regularly. What the judgment creditor is trying to do is to put you under pressure in many countries. They may not recover anything from all those countries, but they are crying for attention. They are saying, please pay attention. And lastly, if you remember that China is a very strong country, you also don't want to offend a country that is your partner on many fronts by maltreating their citizens, criminalizing them, or embarrassing them. So we should resolve it amicably.
Prince Adewale Adebayo has got a lot of experience in this kind of disputes internationally, and that's why we've invited him to speak on this and share his perspectives. Thank you so much for your time tonight. He's a lawyer and the presidential candidate of the
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much indeed. In the 2023 election, thank you so much indeed. Everyone, let's switch gears now. The Edo State government says Mr. Philip Shaibu is impersonating the state's deputy governor and is urging the public to disregard him. Mr. Shaibu, the reinstated deputy governor of the state, had announced his resumption of duty and directed his staff to do so. But the Edo State government, in a statement by its Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Osan Naikare, says that Shaibu's action is a clear case of impersonation. The deputy governor will be joining me after this break, everyone. Join us again. Welcome back, of course, there. Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu is with me in the studio. But the government has accused him of impersonating the state deputy governor and have urged the public to disregard him. Mr. Shaibu was reinstated by the court and announced his resumption of office duties and directed his staff to do so too. But the Edo State government, in a statement by the Commissioner of Communication and Orientation, Osan Naikare, says Shaibu's action is a clear case of impersonation and says it has come to the attention of the Edo State government that the former deputy governor, Comrade Philip Shaibu, has been carrying out correspondence with different institutions and organizations, both within and outside the state, in a clear case of impersonation. Well, the deputy governor has also responded. Comrade Philip Shaibu joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thanks so much, and it's good to see you.
Thank you very much, Sil.
How do I address you? An Edo citizen or a deputy governor?
Edo citizen and also deputy governor.
but the government has said that you are not a deputy governor, that you are impersonating the office of the deputy governor.
Yeah, it actually exposes Godwin Obaseki, the governor of Edo State, of the gaps that he has in public sector administration. And some of us that work with him know that is completely inexperienced when it comes to public sector administration. And that is what it's like just displayed. So if the governor was a valid court judgment, not just an order, a valid court judgment, and a declarative one for that matter, with consequential orders, even buying him, the governor of Edo State, from interfering, buying him or any of his proxy or staff from interfering from my duty as the deputy governor of Edo State for the remainder of our tenure. And he's carrying out such a statement. It shows his lawlessness. It shows that he doesn't understand what a court judgment is. And if he does understand what a court judgment is, it shows that he's just wicked. And I have tried to moderate myself because of the respect I have for the office of the governor, not Godwin Obaseki. Because if I have to look at Godwin Obaseki, before now, there are a lot of things that would have happened. But because of the respect I have for the office, the institution of the office of the governor, I've been moderating myself. But unfortunately, Godwin Obaseki has not moderated himself. And that is why he will go and say, I'm impersonating. When the purported impeachment took place, I was addressed as former deputy governor. I went to functions, I was addressed as former deputy governor. And I lived with it because as at the time that was done, whether legal or not legal, we were in court. I stayed away in respect of what they have done, because in court, and no court has made any pronouncement. And I left. When court made pronouncement, I returned and the court said the office was never vacant. And if the office was never vacant, they came up saying they have, the same day that the judgment was delivered, they came out to say they have stay of execution. They have appealed. And they deceive even media houses that they have a stay. And I came out to say, if they have a stay, let them show it. This is the judgment of the court. If they have a stay, let them show it. 3 days after, in their usual character, it shows that they never had a stay. Till now, they never had a stay.
Yeah, comrade, let's take the issue one after the other for our viewing public right now. When there is a judgment of court, especially in the court of first instance, whether at the High Court or the magistrate court, whichever court that is the court of first instance, and there is an appeal on the matter, or you go for filing for a stay. What you're saying in essence is that, my lord, do not allow this judgment to stand just yet, because we have an opinion that is different from your judgment, and it means that hold on to whatever judgment until it is finalized in court. So if they say, the government of Edo State say they have filed for a stay and they have appealed the matter in court, what it then means is that your being the deputy governor is still there's still a big question mark. Well, let me ask you: if you say you have not seen the stay, are you aware of the suit in the court of Justice Omotosho, which is supposed to be heard on September the 24th, 2024? Are you aware?
Sheon, they came to your station and other stations through their proxies and say they have a stay. And I was interviewing channels, and I said they don't have a stay.
But you are aware of a suit
excuse me.
in the court of Justice Omotosho?
Hold on. I said they never had a stay. And few days after, or a week after or so, or 2 weeks after, the news broke out that the application for stay, my lord has fixed it for September 24th for hearing. So an application for stay.
So they never had a stay.
It's so two different things. They told you they had a stay.
Did they, as a lawyer?
And now, today, as it is today, the application that they filed, the hearing is coming up September 24th. So does that act as a stay?
As a lawyer, being informed about the application for stay? Because
I see it in the media.
So you have,
and I believe it.
So if there was a stay of execution of such,
they don't have a stay.
I'm saying if there is a stay, you would be a party to the decision.
I'm not a lawless person like Godwin Obaseki. I'm a lawful.
Don't let us use those kind of words. That's the governor of the state.
It's not abusive. It's not abusive.
So when you say the governor is lawless,
yes,
is the chief security officer of your
it's not abusive.
No. It's demeaning for the office of the governor.
If it's demeaning for a progressive governor, a governor that is lawful, a governor that obey courts order, a governor that two of us.
The same way I wouldn't allow any person to speak about your person.
If I'm lawless, I should be told I'm lawless.
No, but that's the office of the governor.
The office of the governor is not supposed to be lawless, but the holder of the office of the governor in Edo State today is lawless. Godwin Obaseki is lawless. If he's not lawless, he will not say Philip Shaibu is impersonating, because there is a valid court judgment. He has been served. He has been served a valid court judgment, a declarative valid court judgment, and it's the spiritual wickedness.
Let me ask you.
He will not obey.
Comrade,
and that's not the first court judgment he's not obeying.
Which other one?
There are a lot of them. And this is a governor that will not follow even policies of government he initiated.
But when you didn't have any problem with him,
yes.
In the case of the House of Assembly matter,
yes.
the Washington Osifor
yes.
But you were in office that time. Did you advise him? Because there were hues and cries about that matter.
My joy today, when I work in the system, I abide by the rules, and I made up my mind that immediately I left House of Rep to work and become deputy governor under Obaseki. I made up my mind I will be loyal, and I will be an addition, not a subtraction. And I will not be a spare tire. All I did in 7.5 years is fill in the gaps. And all those filling in the gaps assisted to stabilize government. Godwin Obaseki, like I said, has a lot of gaps when it comes to public sector administration. And those gaps we're trying to fill. You cannot, for instance, Subeb. Subeb has one lady, one person, as chairman of Subeb, uncleared by the House of Assembly. I was in the House of Assembly. For you to have a board, for even Subeb to grant access to the counterpart funding, you must have a valid board. For 5 years now, we don't have a valid board. Only one person is running a board. I have made statement, I have persuaded him, and I have told him, but he will not do that. I can count 100.
For 4 years,
I can count 100 policies that he has broken. If I say it's lawless, what I say is lawless. I know what I'm saying.
I'm asking you a specific question. In the case of the Washington Osifor and his colleague,
today,
for 4 years, they were not allowed to run as members of the House of Assembly.
I've been vindicated.
Did you weigh in on that matter?
I did. I have been
vindicated. So what
vindicated.
happened when you did?
Are you aware that 4 of the House of Assembly members was suspended? As you speak now, 2 are suspended. 1 has been called back. I'm not there when all those things happened. So that is just, see, as a man that was in the system, it's not my lot to come out and say, see is what is happening, this is what is happening. Inside house, I have been accused. When this issue of impeachment started, his staffs and some of his close allied were saying that Philip is always arguing with the governor at ESCO. But I have never come out to say I argue with the governor in ESCO. I will not do that because it's a system. So whatever, as somebody that came from the parliament, whatever you say in parliament, if a minority voice make its own statement, majority voice say a different thing, the majority voice must have his way. And the minority voice might even be asked to go and tell the public why that decision is taken. You don't have a choice. You must follow. So I took that mentality to govern to the executive. Yeah, so whatever we do in the ESCO, remain in the ESCO. Whether I was for it or I'm not for it, I will have made my statement, whether for it or against. But if the generality of the people say my own opinion is not it.
Yeah,
How we follow?
you
But I
call
won't come to
today.
the public and say, I told the governor
Comrade,
X, I
yeah.
told the governor X, I said this in ESCO. No, it's not done like that.
You say today
Yeah.
that Governor Godwin Obaseki is a lawless person
Lawless.
who does not obey
He doesn't obey
extant laws and court orders.
including policies of government.
But the question is that you've worked with him for 7.5 years.
Yes.
There are those who will tell you tonight that you are only saying this because it does not favor you.
No.
All of the time, over the years, you think that this is the best man and does everything well and perfectly too. You in fact joined forces to fight against your uncle and your principal at that time, Adams Oshiomhole. And all of a sudden, because the tiger is biting you now, you're crying.
No. See,
foul.
See, Obaseki is not even a tiger. It's not a tiger. It's worse than a squirrel. When tigers are out, squirrels will find their way. We are out now in politics, and we see where Obaseki will have a shield. We are waiting for him in this election.
Really?
We are waiting for him.
You think he can fight? Because
we are waiting for him.
This is the man who beat your political godfather.
No, he didn't beat him.
What happened? He were dancing like this.
No, he didn't beat him.
How you beat him.
No, he didn't beat him.
What happened?
All of us felt that he was being oppressed, and we decided that we were going to. I hate oppression, so some of us felt he was being oppressed, and because of that, we will support him. And the sympathy was with him because of what we perceive that was happening.
So why didn't you say? Why did you say he didn't beat him? He defeated.
He didn't beat him. He didn't defeat him because if it's about good governance, Obaseki would have gotten second term. The issues there were different from the issues now.
What then happened? Because Obaseki won that election. But you said he didn't beat him.
Because Edo people hate oppression. And they see him being oppressed as at that time. The issue were not about developmental issues. The issue was issues of oppression. And at that time, like, no, you cannot do this. And that was how he got sympathy. It was all about sympathy. It was not about even development, issues of development. If the issue of development, there are certain senatorial districts that won't have voted.
So, but the election was free and fair.
Of course, it was free and fair.
So it was because of Oshiomhole that Obaseki won.
It's not because of, it was because of the issues that were at that time. The issues as at that time.
So you think that you on this other side in the APC now,
not just
Obaseki, Asue Igodalo and the PDP?
No, not just me.
Don't have a chance.
I'm a team player, not just me. Just imagine during the primaries, 10 of us contested under PDP. 9 of us are together up to now against Asue Igodalo. How can Asue come out of it?
But if Asue Igodalo,
and when I said 9 of us,
if Asue Igodalo is a candidate of the people, if the people say that is whom they want, what can you do?
If the people say that is who they want, obviously the people will have their way. But I can tell you that the people do not want Asue because even his own people in Ewoyimi don't want him because he cannot even speak their language. They cannot even understand him. For him to interact with his people, he has to bring an interpreter to speak and interpret. They don't even need him.
All right. Just a moment. Give me a moment. We're due for another break. We take a break. And when we come back, it does look like the fight is going to be to the finish line in the Edo State governorship election. And there are forces on all of the sides. Don't forget the last time, it was PDP up against APC. But there is a Labour Party in the mix and other political parties. There wasn't a third factor and a third force, but there is one now. We'll be speaking with Comrade Philip Shoaibu, Edo State Deputy Governor, after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. The reinstated Edo Deputy Governor, Philip Shoaibu, has been speaking with us on the program. We are now on the home stretch. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
Your office and there's the controversy hanging over your being the deputy governor because there is a substantive deputy governor. You are the court reinstated deputy governor. That case goes down to the wire. And a lot of people will be imagining how can governance be pushed when all this kind of thing is happening. And I understand that you've been having some of these issues for a long time, for almost a year now. With your principal, where did it go wrong?
Yeah, I think it's over about 15, 16 months now And immediately I showed sign that I was going to contest for the office of the governor. That was where the whole fight and all the oppression and all the intimidation started. I can tell Nigerians today that this is the 15th month, close over a year now. I've not received any check from government. Immediately, Obaseki perceived that I was going to contest for the office of the governor. He even told me to my face that if I go ahead to contest the governorship election, he was going to deal with me and he was going to use the word destroy.
But did he say this to you?
He said it. He said he's going to destroy.
But why did you? And I thought you were a lawyer person. If your principal does not want you to run for such an office, why did you go ahead? Why didn't you resign?
It's my constitutional. The constitution did not say for me to contest for office of the governor, I must resign. No.
But you understood what you were up against. That you were going to be up against your principle.
Today democracy, some of us inhaled tear gas, some of us were injured. Some of us could not make it. We lost some of our colleagues in fighting for this democracy. Where was Obaseki when we were on the street inhaling tear gas? So when we see anti-democratic forces like him trying to show up their ugly heads, we will fight to make sure they are not there, because we don't want to return back to that era of the military where you and I, we have to hide to hold meetings. So they didn't understand what we went through to get this democracy that he is now governor. So when I see some of them, we have to find a way to manage them out, because we know the danger of losing this democracy.
But let me ask you,
they don't know.
You are a politician. You've been in the House of Reps. You've been in the executive. So you understand, and you've played politics almost to the highest level in the state. Yeah. So you understand that when you are working with your principal, you have to manage. You are only the deputy governor because Obaseki wanted you to be his running mate. At that level, just for a moment, at that level, you know that you do not rock the boat politically speaking.
Sorry.
This is not a matter of constitutional right. But I'm saying that this is politics also.
We made Obaseki governor. We made Obaseki governor.
When you say
we, when I mean we, Obaseki was not a politician. Obaseki, even financially, Obaseki was not financially strong to even contest the election. Oshomole brought him. And when Oshomole brought him, some of us argued that it cannot be him. It took Oshomole 3 months to convince me and some of our supporters to support Obaseki. And when we decided, because of Oshomole, because of the respect for him, to support him, he did not bring money. We brought our resources and our friends to bring money. And we brought our political capital to make him governor. So when you are talking about deputy governors and governor, he is not the one that made me. I made him.
If you made him, why are you his deputy? You should have been his boss.
I was asked to be his deputy, to add political value, because he was not a politician. I was in House of Representatives. So I was drafted to add political value to the ticket. And when we came on board, we brought all our capital, both political capital, our financial capital, to run that. And in 2020, the same thing happened.
Let me ask you quickly.
And he tried to stop me from contesting, to the extent he stopped all my finances as deputy governor. But he didn't stop me. Till today, I have not received any check from government for the past 1 year.
Even before you were sacked by the House of Assembly?
Before I was sacked by the House of Assembly, it stopped both overheads, both my salary was stopped.
And that of your
I decided not to
What about your staff that work?
All of them. I decided not to make noise, because I didn't want Nigerians to see that maybe the issue of money was a problem.
Can all this be true?
I'm telling you, for the past 1 year, I have not received a check from Edo State government.
It's difficult to believe that
I am telling
you're describing a person that everybody knows as the governor of Edo State.
I am telling you, I'm not coming to here to lie. I'm telling you, I have not received any check for the past 1 year and my staff. But the good news is that I have friends, I have contacts that have kept that office running. Because first thing, what I'm fighting for now, it's not Philip Shaibu I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for the institution of the office of the deputy governor. I will not join any force to reduce the office of the governor.
All right.
Just like I will not allow Obaseki to reduce the institution
we need
of
to
the
wrap up
office
the program,
of the deputy governor.
we need to
And
wrap
that is
up the
my
program.
fight for today.
The police was asked by the court there were parties to in the judgment to say restore these to Philip Shaibu and all of that. Has the police been served that judgment? Have they obeyed it also?
See, Sheung, I sued the police. I sued the DSS and security agency. I sued Obaseki and the Edo State Assembly. The police is a law-abiding. The IG is law-abiding. He has obeyed the court order. The director of SSS is a law-abiding citizen and he has obeyed. The only lawless person is in the mix of those we have sued that refuse to obey the judiciary and they have disregarded the judiciary is the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki.
If you go into this election, you've shifted base, you left the PDP, you moved to the other side, to the APC. If the APC does not win this election, how would that make you feel?
There's no if. APC is winning all the way. You can see they were running their mouth that APC was nowhere, APC was not visible, and forgetting that revolutionary tactics are not what you share in social media and in print. We had our strategy. We have started our campaign. We just did 3 campaigns in 3 senatorial districts. They're already just all the way APC. Yeah. And I can bet you, Sheung, we are conversing, just like Oshomole said yesterday, 1 man, 1 vote. One Philip Shaibu, 1 vote. One Oshomole, 1 vote. One Kweholo, 1 vote.
We need to go now.
And I can bet you it's victory for APC all the way because all the forces, all the political forces are aligned now.
We're totally out of time.
Aligned now to APC.
Philip Shaibu, reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Sheung. And I would like to tell everybody, it is important that we always obey the rule of law so that we don't turn to a banana republic.
We're totally out of time. Thank you so much, indeed. But that's our show for today. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'll see you on Sunday, 8 p.m. We've got a very special package for you on Sunday. I'm sure Kimale. God bless you.